Hello, everybody. We're just wading through the new Twitter ways of handling things here. It's a different world on Twitter for some reason. Did somebody buy Twitter recently that I don't know of, JB?
Some guy that rhymes with husk maybe or dusk. It's supposed to be really smart, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't see us up and running yet.
Oh yeah, no, you're there now. You're gonna see it right now.
Okay. So I'm looking.
It's there.
Frank Rossi is live.
You know what?
Guess that means I am too.
Yeah, you are. So anyway, this is the trials and tribulations of media and social media these days, right here. And here we go. We're going to make sure everybody can see it too. So there we go. So anyway, I get up at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and let me tell you something. I am so happy not to be doing quick hits anymore. Realistically, the amount of time I used to have to spend on Friday mornings or Thursday nights getting that together was counterproductive for our show, realistically.
Not available.
It's there. Trust me.
It's there? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I can see it on my end. Anyway, it was counterproductive to, spend that much time on it. Yep, I see it.
Yep.
So anyway, it allows us to do a lot of our own new production stuff and to also get a lot of better information and everything else along the way. So we got graphics galore in this show. We're going to be going through a lot of stuff that we never would have been able to go through, and also allows me to find some of the best social media stuff out there. For instance, this morning, our friends at Trine are back at it. Let's take a look at what they've got for us.
My game day superstition. I call my mom and dad before every game to talk to them.
Come on, buddy.
Prayer. Always got to say prayer.
There you go.
My game day superstition, pray to God and eat a king-size Reese's bar.
Oh, God.
Superstition. I think I wore like
Shot of pickle juice.
I think I wore like...
Listening to Beethoven before the game begins. Taking ibuprofen.
Gotta watch Reggie Bush highlights. Facts.
My man.
You're running back.
Energy drink and long stretch.
Eating McDonald's for breakfast.
Wow. Oh, God, no.
You gotta always wear the attire that makes you feel the best.
Can I borrow that?
The lucky underwear do it for me.
Lucky underwear, huh?
I sure hope he washes it between games. Yeah. My gosh. Oh, okay. There's Trine. Johns Hopkins went for a different approach here this week, and they got a big game. We'll be talking a lot about that game throughout today and tomorrow for sure. But here's what they had to add to the mix here. Let's go.
Anything you want.
Grab 12, ready, go!
I like 12! Yeah!
That's a wrap.
Yeah, man.
They're ready for number 3 versus number 4, that's for sure. Hopkins at 3 and Susquehanna at 4. Bay Harvey coming up on our show in a little bit, so be ready for that.
Yeah.
Also, we've got some guys from Western New England that have put together their little own content creation thing going on there, Ascension Elite Media, or Ascension Elite Tour. And they were at the Wesleyan game last week, so they got to see our friend Dan DeCenzo, the coach who joined us last Friday on our live show. And thanks for him re-sharing a lot of the stuff from that show in that interview with him. So here's a little bit of a taste of their 18-minute program on YouTube with respect to the Wesleyan game versus Middlebury. And we would suggest going to YouTube or even I think they're on TikTok as well, and the different social media, and going look for Ascension Elite Football. A great ad, and they're going to be covering some D2 and D1 stuff as well this season. But we told them, and third division's going to be working with them as well to flag us to the D3 content they've got, and I think they're going to be out at UAlbany soon, so I might get to meet them in person. But again, alums from Western New England, one of which was the roommate to the Australian that I had interviewed. Remember at WNE?
The Bailey.
Yep, it was. Back in 2021, I think it was. Yep. So there's that. Mm-hmm. What else do we have here? You can't let me go down the rabbit hole for too long because I just find too much stuff. Okay.
Did you see and I'm sure this was kind of taken out of context, but there was another few posts on Tom Cirillo over at Lyco and basically how he dropped out of high school to do drugs and drink.
My game day superstition. I called my mom and dad.
Man. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the thing you're bringing up right now. And
I think they took that out of context to kind of get a little extra attention. But, I mean, maybe he was just being honest. I don't know.
Well, I think what it came down to is that he probably didn't fulfill, the college days or, whatever else in his life because he, went through stuff that some folks go through, that drop out of school and then have to go a different route. But, he kept his eligibility, and so that's why he's at Lycoming. I keep checking the participation charts on Lycoming to see if he's touched the field yet. And I don't think so, at least what I've looked at so far. So we'll see if Tom gets a chance here, if Coach Clark gets him out onto that field. At some point, I think he will, as long as he stays healthy and he stays, with the team this season. So we wish Tom the best. Okay, there's that. And I got one more thing here, JB. You may want to take us through what this all is in one moment here. Here we go. Who's that?
Yeah, that's my mom and dad celebrating their 55th Emerald anniversary. They were married in Huntington Beach, California on September 19th, 1970. Look at that. I mean, they were just 22-year-old kids. Actually, my dad was 21 because it's the day before his birthday, and he kind of jokes around. He got married the day before his birthday, so he'd always remember the anniversary, right? So, anyway,
well played. Played.
Yeah, and they've been through the ups and downs in life, just like everybody else, and but their commitment and love for each other has never changed. And I, tip the cat. Love you, Mom and Dad.
Speaking of ups and downs, I see Big Harvey in the wings waiting for us to get this show really started officially here. So that's when I say, hey, folks, welcome to Friday Live on Season 18 of In the Huddle. Okay, JB, let's go through the first couple of regions and then get to Bay. And what we do here, we preview the big games, and now we indicate the big games that we think are the biggest games in each region with some really flattering photos of ourselves.
Looking, yeah, nice screen grab of me, Frank. I'm like, oh, God.
Here, for those that haven't seen it yet.
Oh, man.
Sorry, JB.
Thanks.
It's only so much I can do, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, only so much you can work with here. But yeah, for Region 1, my game of the week is a great clash in the NESCAC between the defending champs and Tufts, who are knocking on the door. Their program has come a long way, and this is potentially, a week 2 or week 3 semi championship game for this conference because of how good these teams are. Wesleyan put up 31 points in week 1 of NESCAC play. Tufts allowed 0. Something's got to give here. I think this is going to be a good one.
Night game, no less, there. So under the lights at Tufts.
Yeah, under the lights in Somerville. That's going to be great.
Yep, but then also you got Plymouth State, Bridgewater State, and I guess we should probably be consistent with our state abbreviations, just noticing this. Anyway, noontime game, and Plymouth State 2-0 after some thrilling games. Bridgewater State looking to, I think, upset them would be kind of the right term for the way things have played out so far this season. After you Florman Kings, I like what you wrote up here as the synopsis, which is the surprise of the 0-2, 0-1 starts for these teams.
Yeah.
And I picked Mass Dartmouth to Framingham State because I think this is a big game to determine how the flow is going to go in the MASCAC. Remember, they're both 1-0 in conference. And we'll show you the rest of the games here. Anything sticking out in Region 1 in the other games? Del Val Albright, I mean, look, I really want to see what Del Val is capable of here when it gets down to it. And we'll see if Albright can continue to gain momentum. What do you have on there that is sticking out?
You know, can Eastern go to 3-0, beating Leb Val? I think they can. And what an accomplishment for a very new program to start off 2-0, let alone potentially 3-0. Bowdoin Middlebury, even though both of those teams are 0-1, that should be a very competitive game. Same thing with Colby and Williams, although they're both 1-0. You know, Maine Maritime, Norwich is a military bowl type of thing, so that there'll be a lot of pride on the line for that one. I think that'll be a good one too.
The funny thing I always used to say is, well, somebody's got to win that game, but as Rowan and Case Western Reserve have taught us, maybe not. Hopefully the weather's going to be good around the D3 Nation here this weekend. The big one, it's the game of D3 Nation this weekend. Number 3 at number 4. Lots of questions on whether or not Rashawn Lamons will play, how much he's had the ability to practice if he is, and what that means for that team. But Barry, Carnegie Mellon, don't overlook that game because Barry is a great team in the SAA. The SAA we'll talk about a little bit more later on when we have a chance and how they've started the season. Carnegie Mellon had that tough one against UWL, but it's a character builder and might prepare them well at home versus Barry. I'll let you take Utica Hobart.
Yeah, I threw this one in just for personal reasons, I guess you can say, Frank. I mean, Utica is off to this amazing 2-0 start. Hobart has found ways to lose their last 2 games, and they're now at risk to have their worst start in almost 30 years. Something's got to give here. Hobart's only lost 3 games at home since 2018. One of them was to Utica, however, in the ECAC Bowl in 2023. Coach Fagiano and company, the Utica guys, are looking to, keep the Statesmen down.
For those that want to measure what Utica is like, the Brockport RPI game and the Utica Hobart game is a flip-flop of opponents from last week, and will give us a little syllogism approach to see, what these teams are before they do play each other in Empire 8 play. We'll talk more about the Empire 8 later. Muhlenberg Wilkes is something that I'm looking out for too. Fisher, Rochester, both at 2-0. The Kings of Rochester game, I would call this one. Brockport might argue with that a little bit. The Garbage Plate
Nick Tahoe Bowl
trophy. Yeah, the Nick Tahoe Bowl. I like that. But otherwise, we got a few more games here just to look at real quick. We don't know how to count Southern Virginia Keystone, folks, because of the issues out there. So we're putting it on here as a game where we can't guarantee that counts for anybody. Westminster case could be interesting. Westminster,
I want to shout out one.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, though, if Westminster has lightning delays, they shouldn't be shocked because Case is 2 for 2 on that one. But go ahead.
I did see a video from Cleveland where Case was practicing and the weather was clear and beautiful. These guys deserve a nice, nice game for a change. I did want to say, Frank, I think Juniata McDaniel is something to keep an eye on. We talked about this in the Landmark Media Day that Juniata could start 3-0 with this schedule, and look at them. They're 2-0 with a chance to go 3-0, which would be a big step for this program.
Also, I'm going to call out Cortland Hartwick because Cortland's had the down and up scenario. Hartwick's got 2-0, obviously against lesser opponents than what Cortland had, but we'll get a good measuring stick for who's who in that one. Okay, let's stop the jibber jabber between us because we got somebody that we've talked to numerous times. He's looking as healthy as ever right now in my window here. It looks like he's toned up a little bit even because he knows this is it. He's smiling at me, but just bring him on in here. Bay Harvey, grad QB at Johns Hopkins. And, you know, Bay, I saw you last season. In fact, the picture is in our intro. I grabbed it just a second ago, in fact. After or that Ithaca game, I should say, that with I think that's EJ Tellerico back then.
Yes.
And we were having a good old time because you guys had that big come from behind win there. But then your season turned around into an injury season for you. Bay, take us through what 2024 was for you and having to watch it mainly from the sidelines and what drove you to want to come back because you didn't have to, clearly. This is your fifth year per se. You got that season back because of everything that happened. So take us through it, Bay.
Yeah. First of all, hi, Frank. Hi, JB. Nice to be on the show. I appreciate it. And last year, obviously, you know, that first game at Ithaca was awesome. Come back from down 17 to win the game by 3. And then, you know, struggled a bit against CNU. The following week, we were able to pull out a victory and then got hurt against Salisbury. Actually didn't know it during the game. Only found out about a week after that I had hurt my knee. And initially was, you know, trying to be optimistic, thinking I would only be out for a few weeks. But a few weeks turned into a few months and it just ended up not being realistic to come back. And that's, you know, and at that point, you're just trying to help your teammates out as best you can to be there for them, be there for James Ranello, who had an incredible season. And obviously just supporting the coaching staff in any way possible while also trying to rehab that injury and, you know, be ready if, you know, if that opportunity had presented itself. And then end of the season, obviously, you know, I was considering a lot of options. I was graduating early from Hopkins. So just looking through all that, I just didn't want my football career to end the way that it would have if I had not come back. So I decided to come back, start a grad program here at Hopkins, and give it one last run with this great group of guys. And it's going pretty well so far. So looking to continue that.
Yeah, and I want to get into this season really quickly, but since you brought it up, and I was kind of curious, one of the things I said in the preseason show is I don't think we really appreciated how great a year James Ranello had, you know, leading the team into the semifinals. He lit up the Mount Union secondary in that game, you know, beat UMHB, all these things. I mean, what was it for you? I mean, to see this teammate of yours, your backup, really just kind of step up and do such a great job. I imagine you guys are probably friends, you know, on and off the field. And I imagine as a competitor, you wanted to be out there. But who else better than, you know, one of your buddies to have such a big year?
Yeah, it was awesome. And obviously at the quarterback position, there's only one guy that can play. So I think throughout our careers, we, you know, I've been going back and forth competing with each other. And, you know, the previous year I had been the starter and he was my backup and he was there to support me. So I felt like it was great to return the favor. And obviously I wasn't able to play. But to see him have that much success was really good and also motivating for me. It's like, damn, like I want to do that. Like that's awesome. So that's it was awesome. It was truly awesome.
Well, earlier on in the off season, preseason, whatever you want to call it, I ventured and pissed off a lot of UWO people. I'll just put it that way. When I called Hopkins the best schedule in the nation. And with all due respect to UWO, I went out to their game against North Central because I think they do have, it's almost 1A and 1B, respectfully to all of them. But, you know, when you look at the graphic we had put out there this week, to see these teams in the top 10 showdown since 2020 that we compiled, thanks to AI's assistance to get this all together, and, you know, talk to Ernie, and we think we have got it nailed down now that 2022 was the last time a top 5 matchup occurred in the regular season, Whitewater St. John's. North Central Wheaton, though, also was a big one in 21. But now we put the names Johns Hopkins and Susquehanna into this mix, alongside the North Centrals, Wheatons, River Falls, Whitewaters, La Crosses, etc. I mean, for you, as a guy that came into this program with Johns Hopkins making some noise, but, you know, not there to that degree yet, how proud are you just for the fact that you guys are in a 3 versus 4 showdown in the regular season? That's going to be probably the game of the week, according to most people out there.
I'm extremely proud, especially of our coaching staff, Coach Kamara, who took over for Coach Margraf and continued to build the program, and now Coach Wads. It's just a piece of evidence to what they're trying to build here. And obviously, when my freshman year, we played Mount Union in the playoffs, and we lost by, I forget what it was, maybe 8 points or something, but it was clear that we weren't far off from those top teams in the Division III. So it's awesome to be at that level now, and obviously take rankings with a grain of salt. It doesn't really mean anything on game day, but it's definitely a cool headline for this upcoming game.
Well, what could also be a little maybe subheader here, and what's the name of the guy that's in charge of the footballs for Hopkins Bay?
I think just all the quarterbacks are pretty much in charge. Or Phil Junius, you're talking about our equipment manager.
Yeah.
Is that?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a message for him because I'm looking at your career stats, and you're 48 yards away from breaking 5,000 yards in your career. Someone's got to get that ball and make sure it's got safekeeping to the Hopkins Hall of Fame. What an accomplishment. You're only 111 yards away from rushing for 1,000 yards in your career. I mean, I imagine you probably don't keep track of this stuff, but it is kind of cool. I mean, when you step back, kind of going into this one last year, are there other goals that you were pursuing besides the statistical ones?
Honestly, I think last year before the injury happened, that was more at the forefront of my mind, trying to sort of achieve on an individual level. And part of me almost thinks like that's why the injury happened, because that's like the wrong thing to focus on. So this year, I feel like the whole team really is in a great mindset of not caring about individual stats, just trying to make the play that nobody will see watching live, but then you go back and watch the film and you realize that was the difference between a touchdown and a 10-yard gain. So I really think the whole team's in a great mindset like that, and I mean it's a very cool accomplishment. I probably will tell Phil to try to hold on to that ball for me, but at the end of the day, it's all about winning. So that's the mindset we're in.
I've got a little in because the referee crew that's going to be handling is Stu Hinman's crew, who we've highlighted Stu here before, one of the top level D3 referees out there, and his crew is top level with him. So maybe if I start counting your yards and find the 48th yard going on, maybe I'll try to peek in there and see what we can do to make sure it is separated for you. Let's go back to the schedule real quickly here, though. Yeah, no problem. We're here for you, buddy. But let's take a look here at the schedule as a whole that we're beginning to look at. Ithaca, John Carroll, these are two tough games. You roll through Ithaca, and that's real different from what happened last year where you had to come back versus Ithaca, as we said. And then John Carroll, no slouch of a team. And by the way, their kicker, I'm still in awe of that before halftime field goal he kicked. That probably would have been good from 70 plus, the way he hit the roof. But then, Dickinson, no slouch. Carnegie Mellon, new team for you guys. And, obviously Muhlenberg down the line, your sinus before that even. I mean, Bay, I know it's easy to get kind of hyper-focused on this Susquehanna game coming into the season because of the implications. But, I mean, what is your feeling here looking at this thing? And, you're a guy that knows numbers and MPI and the highs and lows of MPI and everything. But this schedule is kind of like, holy cow, what were you guys setting yourselves up for here? And, if you lose Saturday, and I know you don't want to look at it that way, and something weird happens in league play, who knows what happens to you guys? I'm sure Logan Hansen will tell us. But, it's a tough schedule. There's no doubt, especially with the addition of Carnegie Mellon into the conference now. How are you guys looking at this whole thing, and how do you stay focused on a game at a time and all that stuff?
I think the quality of our opponents each week makes it very easy to stay focused on one week at a time. And I think, Coach Wadika really wants us to, prepare for those games down the line, those big conference games, those, playoff games eventually, hopefully. And you don't prepare for those by, scheduling weak teams to start the season. So we really we think these first three games out of conference games are really what's going to prepare us down the road to win in those winner go home games. So that's really what it's all about. And I think it's been awesome so far. These, we're hyper focused on these, on Ithaca, John Carroll, now Susquehanna. and then we'll have the nice bye week to get prepared for conference play.
One of the best compliments that we got last season, Bay, was from Coach Perk, who said that we look at this game like coaches, because we actually watch the film. We don't necessarily spend a lot of time with statistics or all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that jumped out to me, I didn't get to see much of the John Carroll game, but I watched almost all of the Ithaca game, was the size of your offensive line. Those guys are huge. Is it like, I mean, did they all like bulk up 30 pounds in the offseason? I mean, this is like a WIAC-sized offensive line you got there. I mean, as a quarterback, you got to love that. I mean, you might be hard to see over them when you're in the pocket, but like, was there like a off-train, are they eating like extra, crab cakes there in Baltimore? Like, how did these guys get so big?
It's a great question. I don't know how much bigger they are than last year. Obviously, having Garrett Brophy back after a year off is great. It's tremendous help. And really, so far this season, it's been awesome playing behind them. They've done a tremendous job. Also, with the addition of Drew Scher at center, taking over for Luke Simpson. And yeah, I mean, they're huge guys. They can run all sorts of plays. They're athletic, and obviously, we have a couple good running backs running behind them. So that makes life easy as a quarterback when you can hand the ball off and get 4, 5, 6 every time. It's wonderful. Love it.
I'm trying to call this up in a way that I can zoom in a little bit on it, but I brought it up in the intro review. You have conditioned quite a bit, it looks like. Just from your face, I can tell that you're definitely something different about you, because here, you look fine and everything else, but I can tell that in a year, you have taken on a different approach to conditioning, maybe because the injury gave you a little bit of motivation. What did you do for yourself to be ready differently maybe for this season?
Yeah, I think it was, I used to really enjoy being in the weight room and lifting heavy with all the different position groups. And I think with the knee injury happening, just trying to, decrease the load on it and focus on, specific strength around those muscles. I think that just sort of led me to maybe drop a little weight. But it's been good. I feel well conditioned, and also don't feel like I've lost that much mass to the point where I'm scared about any other kind of injury. So it's been great. Coach Joe Alexander, our strength coach, has done a tremendous job working with us. So it's been great.
Having that O-line in front of you and everything allows you to be in more of that condition where you can be a little sleeker and maybe get a little bit faster speeds and stuff like that. So more power to you, bud. I mean, at 49, let me tell you, it gets a lot tougher to condition in any way, shape, or form. Or 51-ish, JB, or whatever it is. Yeah, it's so true. JB, what do you got?
Well, real quick, I just want to shout out one of his O-linemen, Charlie Pearson, who was just named to the All-State AFCA Good Works team. That's a big honor for him. So congratulations to Charlie, number 66, one of the guys that's protecting Bay. But, at the top of the interview, you mentioned, you're doing a grad year, graduate school program. Hopefully, I imagine you want to end your career in Canton, Ohio. But after that, what kind of plans do you have for life after football?
Try not to think too far ahead. After last year, you see how quickly circumstances can change. Definitely thought about a lot of different options. Also, having that background from Switzerland, seeing a potential future there professionally, maybe also trying to, play a little more football over in Europe at some point would be a lot of fun. But I think I'll, weigh my options after the season and see what I want to do at that point.
We ran into our friend Thomas Jenkins, actually, an old foe from Muhlenberg, as we got to the Moravian Muhlenberg game to open the season, and he was playing over in, I think it was Germany, for a couple of years. He's back in the States now, but definitely somebody to link up with to talk about the highs and lows of that as well. I'm sure you've got a lot of connections out there about that, but it's always good to see the guys that play in Europe tend to have a little bit of a community that forms to talk about it and understand it better, because there's risks to it too, about it's a couple of prime years of your life professionally in different ways. So you're going to land on your feet no matter what. I know that about you through these years of knowing you and talking with you. And at this point, you know what happens here in this show. We give you the opportunity for shout outs to any family, friends, teammates, etc. Bay, you've done this for long enough with us that you can take as long as you want as well, because you might as well be a co-host on the show at this point. Bay Harvey, go for it.
All right. Shout out Toon Tigers back in Switzerland. Shout out Cleveland Heights Tigers. Shout out, obviously, Hopkins football. Appreciate you guys. Love playing with you guys. Shout out Chucky P again, number 3, for making the All-State Good Works team. Shout out to my girlfriend who's studying abroad in Paris right now. And shout out to my family. Show up to every game. Love them. And special shout out to my granddad, 81, still making it to every game.
Girlfriend's first name and granddad's first name, just so that they don't get mad at you.
Girlfriend is Elena, and granddad is Paul.
Well, Paul, I'm sure, is hyper proud of you
Awesome.
and everything that you do, and so is the GF. So we'll see what happens. I will see you tomorrow. I will be in Selinsgrove for this battle, and on the sidelines, and enjoying a little tailgate. The best part of this matchup, I learned a few years ago, as you know,
Bar, baby.
on one side, and then across the tracks
I almost
is
wore
the
my hat.
Susquehanna. Oh, geez. Where is mine? It should be on my table somewhere here. Gosh, I'm so in trouble for not having it ready to go. Anyway, but to have Susquehanna's big old tailgate.
This.
Yes, I know. I'm Spivak. How are you? I'm going to dig it out. I'll find it wherever it is here. This is a freaking mess around here. But anyway, to have Susquehanna's tailgate too. I mean, both teams tailgate like there's no tomorrow, and it'll be fun to be there. But obviously, there's a serious football match coming up before us tomorrow. So I think 1 p.m. kickoff time. Bay, best of luck. We don't take rooting interests here, except we will predict the game later. So we'll see where we go with this one. I got my ideas already. We'll see what JB does with it. But thanks again for joining us. Thanks to Ernie for helping us set this up, JB. Come on now.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, Frank and JB.
Thanks, babe.
Bye.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
And we are
Maybe I should have thrown a curveball. I could have worn that Susquehanna hat that Coach Burke gave us after the Landmark Media Day. He kind of got off easy, Frank. We didn't even talk about the game barely. We didn't say game plans or nope. Yeah, that's what I guess you get special treatment as a multi-time guest.
He's going to rely on the offensive line he's got. He's going to throw the ball left, right, and center, and every so often, with the new sleekness he has, he's going to rush the ball. I mean, that's not a tough game plan, realistically. So
and Phil, 48 yards, buddy. We gotta keep an eye on that ball. Otherwise, the mayor will do it for you.
Well, we'll work to make sure this happens. Now that you brought it up, we'll take care of him on that one for sure. I
could crack 1,000 yards in that game too. 111 yards rushing for a QB is not out of the question. I mean, maybe not against the Riverhawks defense, but this game could be a shootout. I don't know.
Well, for sure.
Two great QBs.
We are waiting for our guest from UMHB still here. I'm sure he'll pop up any second, but it gives us time here actually to pop this up, which is that game, kind of the 1B of the day for top level of competition. This is a revenge tour for Whitewater. They looked horrible at home last year versus UMHB. Now both teams undefeated. Yeah, they did. But here's the interesting thing: 12 o'clock Eastern time. This game is kicking off at 11 a.m. Local time for them. Yeah, unless that it was misrepresented, that might be it. Because the general thing we're seeing in ASC and SAA games, I've noticed, is that they're starting them either at 7 o'clock or early. So it might be that. Yeah, so maybe there's a correction to be had somewhere on that. But that is what I checked 3 times because I thought our software was actually screwing up with time zones again. And it's not. So there it is. Shenandoah, Hampton-Sydney. Look, Hampton-Sydney was my team to watch. Here's their first ODAC test. Shenandoah is no pushover at 2-0. Louisiana College, Hardin-Simmons. I am curious to see how Hardin-Simmons plays in this game because of the way their first 2 weeks have gone with 2 one-possession games for a team that's, some people's top 5s out there. What's going on and how is this going to play out? River Falls at Bellhaven. I mean, River Falls hitting the road here pretty big time
They'll
after
travel.
2 home games. Yep. So we'll see where that goes. That's kind of, I think, it in terms of games. I will, just so we don't forget it, TLU Southwestern as well is the big game out there. Trinity, we'll talk about in a little bit for those that are wondering where Trinity is, because remember, our policy is that the home team is what determines the region we place the games in. And so let's go to Region 4 while we have time still. I'll let you take this board.
Yeah, and this one, I like this Mount St. Joe's versus Hope matchup. I mean, you got to give the Lions credit. They hung with Aurora last weekend, but Hope's been steamrolling everybody not named North Central since last year in the playoffs. So we'll have to see, if the Lions have any tricks up their sleeve and can slow down this really potent offense that Hope has. And, in the middle box here, Calvin off to a 2-0 start. Heidelberg, though, posting them under the lights. Ty Porman and companies, a very solid OAC team. So that'll be an interesting test for both here. And then I picked this Rose-Hulman Albion game just because it's an interesting cross-conference matchup between Heartland and Michigan. The rest of the Region 4 slate is okay. Maybe Wittenberg, Ohio Wesleyan will be pretty competitive. That's a conference game. We're starting to see some of the conference play kick off. You've got Wabash, Worcester, Worcester. I love that name. You got, looks like, it's really only it looks like the NCAC is the only conference that's really going into it. Well, we got at least one OAC game between Wilmington and Muskingum. And then, I think that's about it.
We'll go to Region 5 here. Monmouth, Lake Forest, you have picked. I'll let you say why.
Yeah, I think Monmouth is probably going to try to make a statement here to kind of assert themselves as the top team in the Midwest. Obviously, Lake Forest narrowly lost to Illinois College last weekend. That was kind of a crazy game with the blocked 2-point conversions and the returns and all that. They sure like the block kicks in Lake Forest in Illinois. We got Wheaton and Augustana kicking off CCIW play. The Vikings had a really good year in 23 and then kind of dropped off last season. We're kind of curious to see if they bounce back or if this Wheaton team that kind of came around in the second half and gave Mount Union a good run for their money just puts them away. Last but not least is the Luther Cup, or the Lutheran Bowl, between Concordia, Wisconsin and Wisconsin Lutheran. Frank and I got introduced to this rivalry during the kind of our COVID season when we were covering games in the spring and no one really else was. And these guys had some great... the halftime Hail Mary. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's happened in this Luther Cup rivalry, so I had to put that one up there. Should be exciting. Elsewhere, you can kind of just see in general, conference play is getting going here in Region 5. You've got CCIW games, ARC games, NACC games all starting off. So there's some interesting kind of undercard stuff going on. Illinois College against Chicago is a good Midwestern rivalry. Wash U, Carroll, those kinds of games are kicking off. So, it should be a pretty good weekend out there in Region 5.
Look, Concordia, Wisconsin, from what we're understanding from different people out there, is going to be leaving for the CCIW in a couple of years. Interesting choice by them. I'm curious as to your thoughts on that one as we prepare to show folks the rest of Region 5 here. What do you think about that move from the NACC to the CCIW?
Do you really want to move into a conference that has the 3-time defending national champions over the last 5 years and
Wheaton.
multiple playoff participant and or bowl winner in Wheaton? Sounds like a tall order. I might have stayed put in the NACC, but that's just me. Speaking of the NACC, Eureka Rockford is a game that we'll see. We got North Park and Milliken in the CCIW. North Park is actually off to an interesting start. They're kind of below the radar. But they've got some good players on that team and could be an interesting team to keep an eye on.
Conference matchup for sure. Springfield, Platteville. This is one that we saw earlier on, and it's an interesting scenario for sure to have this game play out. But Platteville handled Aurora very easily. Aurora struggled against Mount St. Joseph. We may learn a little bit more about Platteville and who they are in this game against Springfield. I'm going to assume we'll both pick them to win, but we'll see during predictions coming up. But I'm curious to see if Springfield can put some points on them and hold back Platteville's offense in this game. This was your game of the week. Is that your thinking on it?
Yeah, I mean, this could be a one-sided affair potentially. I think it'll just depend on how quickly Platteville can adjust to the triple option. That's probably not something they see very often, if ever. But they are used to teams running power, and so I imagine the defense will have a plan to stop them. It may come down to Springfield pulling a few more passing plays out of their bag of tricks, but I'm hoping that this game is a little more competitive. I mean, it could be like a 45-7 beatdown potentially if Springfield just has lost so much to graduation after last year's Elite Eight run. In the MIAC, we got McAllister taking on Carleton. Unless you were under a rock and weren't one of the 5,000 to 10,000 people who watched the last Crunch Time episode, Jack Curtis, what an amazing story. A guy who's diagnosed with cancer is going to be trying to get his first conference win for his team. We wish him well and hope he has a safe and good game. First win for the Knights if they can pull it off. McAllister is an old conference rival of theirs, so we wish both teams good luck, and that should be a good one. As you mentioned before, Trinity is traveling out west, and so they're on this slide instead of Region 3 because Pac Lutheran is the host, and kind of a playoff style type of situation where they do a chartered flight out to the Northwest and try to get a win against a team that's no slouch in the loot. So I think should be a good one. Chapman Linfield. This could be a preview for the playoffs in round 1 potentially if Linfield wins the NWC and if Chapman wins the SCIAC. I mean, I think Pomona Pitzer is still the favorite, and they've got a good matchup here against Lewis and Clark, who are off to a good start. One of these teams will take their first loss, and it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
And also, look, Chapman, the Hardin-Simmons game tells me that they've got something going on there. Because, again, I don't think Hardin-Simmons is a slouch of a team. I just think that, excuse me, it's an interesting start for them, for sure. But Chapman wasn't supposed to be showing up on the same field as them, scoreboard-wise there. So that'll be an interesting one for sure. So we are preparing right now to get our second interview here, but let me make sure that we do not forget the last page here. Region 6 games, JB, call out.
Yeah, so you can see MIAC play is kicking off. You've got like St. John's Hamlin, you got Concordia Moorhead against St. Olaf. The WIAC is still playing some non-D3 teams. I don't know much about Wayne State. They are 0-2, so maybe this is a game that La Crosse will win. We'll see. Roosevelt is a D2 school and a pretty good one, so that should be a good test for Oshkosh, looking to bounce back after a tough weekend in Chicagoland. Augsburg, St. Scholastica, another MIAC lineup. You've got some UMAC versus WIAC action with Martin Luther and Eau Claire. We got even some not SCIAC, but SCAC, easy for me to say, Lion going to Greenville. That's an interesting, kind of cross-regional travel game for them, and we'll see.
Yeah, the SCIAC Northwest Conference crossovers are interesting to me because we're seeing some teams that we think will be competitors in each conference lining up against each other now, so that'll be the interesting part. So we are getting ready here, and they're just we got great video quality now of our next guest, so we want to make sure we had that all set because he's looking good. And, we got to make sure the defensive tackles look good because if I ever get down to Belton and then see him, he's going to be like, Frank, what the hell? So here we go. We're going to bring in from Mary Hardin Baylor playing Wisconsin Whitewater in Belton this Saturday. Tyron Brown, the senior defensive tackle. And Tyron, it's good to have you with us. But, thanks to Sarah for battling through with us on this one. How's it feel right now to have this big game and all the focus of the nation? We were talking about number 3 versus number 4, but you guys are also a big game here this weekend, as you know. How does it feel? What's kind of the feeling around campus right now? Is the crowd going to be huge at the Cathedral?
It should be an electric atmosphere. Last time they were here, we had a rain out. We probably would have had a sold out crowd if it wasn't for that. But I think this weekend it'll be pretty a packed house for sure.
Well, Tyron, last game you had about a 58-yard scoop and score, which in a way it kind of ended up being the difference because you guys only won that game by a touchdown. I mean, at 6'3", 260, that's a lot to move down the field. I mean, I hope the conditioning that the coaches put you through in the preseason made sure you weren't gassed by the end. But was it exciting to score your first, I think it's your first collegiate touchdown, right?
Collegiate, yeah. Honestly, it was pretty exciting, because, when you're running and you don't really hear everybody yelling. But once I got to the end zone and kind of looked towards the crowd and I heard, everybody hooting and hollering, it was kind of exciting, honestly, to be honest.
Yeah, that was a big play for sure. And I watched that a few times because I was trying to see, is that a defensive back? No, it's certainly not a defensive back. It's coming down the field.
Yeah, let me jump in here real quick, Frank. How does a big guy like you get a number 32? Were you like a running back when you first came in or something? Because normally you get you'd be like a 90 or a single digit.
Honestly, when I got in, I was at end when I came here. I transferred in spring of 22, and 32 was kind of just what was open. I've always been a low number guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've always been a low number guy. So 32 kind of fit me well, and I've kind of just stuck with it. I thought about changing this year, but I feel like I've earned the right to wear 32 around here. So,
Tyron, let's take a look at the schedule this season. You guys handled Bethel, which is a switch from a loss to a win this season after last year, losing to them. This Whitewater game after a bye week, and then Mars Hill, which is a non-D3 opponent, but a good one at that, again, coming up next week. Then conference play starts with the double round robin, as we've talked about. I think this is the final year of that, thankfully, for everybody's sake. But, I mean, it's an interesting schedule. It's a better schedule than last year. There's no doubt about it. And, we've talked about, in some ways, how lucky you guys were to make because of the numbers game that gets played now. The playoffs last year, you only beat 3 opponents technically because of the double round robin, but had 5 wins. But I mean, how's the clubhouse feeling about this situation, this schedule against some really tough teams, including Whitewater this weekend, but then as well having Hardin-Simmons twice, Mars Hill, and everything else going on here?
Honestly, man, we're kind of excited. Last year we had 2 games that technically didn't count. One of them got canceled. And it was kind of a bummer, to not have that game count, especially since we get up and practice and do everything just like it's a regular game for us. So to have this schedule this year is just motivating. A lot of people probably don't see us winning a lot of these games, but that's okay. So we're just going to roll with the punches.
Wait, who are these people you're talking about?
Well, I know last year, to be fair, there were a lot of people that were expecting you guys to lose to Whitewater, and you went up there and you guys smoked them. Now, I noticed you've got 17 career tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks. You're probably going to have to live in the backfield a little bit to get the defensive game plan to work, because even though we've only seen a couple of games of Whitewater, they seem to be a pretty heavy run-based team. Does that kind of change up what you do as a defensive lineman, versus, kind of the pinning the earbacks and rushing the quarterback? Or do you just kind of wait and see what looks you get and you just play your game?
That doesn't kind of affect what I do at all. I just play my game. We're built to stop the run. That's what I'm down there for. But coaches know I can also pass rush from either position, inside, outside. So that's just me being able to adapt to what the coaches expect me to do. They look at me as a leader. I probably have the most games played on the team right now. So that's just a part of who I am. They know what type of person I am, what type of player I am, and what I bring to the table, and they try to exploit that as best as possible.
You bring up a couple of things I want to talk about in some of your answers. First, you said you're a transfer from 22. There are a lot of transfers coming in and out of Mary Hardin-Baylor for sure. And people question sometimes how that works or team chemistry when you have that kind of happening in the offseason and everything else. And how, for a team like Mary Hardin-Baylor, and look, the Mount Unions of the world, North Central's of the world too, don't get me wrong. It seems like the top quality teams draw the attention to get the guys in, but also some guys say, I didn't get enough playing time, so I'm going to go elsewhere. But how does it affect the chemistry of your team to have kind of that in and out going on so much during that off season? And what do you, as like a team leader, for instance, now do to help build that chemistry when that's happening in these situations?
I mean, nowadays in NCAA, man, losing guys is kind of a part of the game. A lot of guys want to go bigger and get their name out there and get more exposure and earn what they feel like what they've worked for. And that's just fine. And we'll never look at them different because of that. But, just when we get guys in, we kind of let them know, like, hey, we're a family. And if you're not a part of this family, then we can't have you here. There's no disrespect to anyone who's came and left. But at the end of the day, when you put on that Crusade of Purple, you're playing for guys who came before you. You're playing for the guys who are next to you. And you're playing for the guys who's going to come after you. So we set a standard. And if you can't live up to that standard, then you won't be playing here.
And that is ushering in my next question very well, which is you kind of point to the guys out there that think that you might lose a bunch of games this season. But, there's been that question, against Hardin-Simmons twice last year, even though you got the third game in the playoffs and won that one. But just the general flow for the last couple of years and some people doubting you guys. Is that something that's being talked about in the locker room where you guys are like, we're going to prove this country wrong for those naysayers and we're going to live up to Crew Football's legacy right now? I mean, take us through kind of the conversation that happens there. And again, what you're doing as a leader to sort of turn that stuff around too.
Honestly, we kind of just block it out. We do what we have to do. We come to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and walkthroughs on Friday. So our Tuesdays and Wednesdays are physical, and that's just what it is. We don't look at who's overlooking us, who's worried about what we'll win or what we'll lose. But at the end of the day, we know we control what we can control. We can't control how people see us, how people perceive us, how they see our season will go. So as a leader, we kind of, just kind of keep the guys motivated, keep them looking ahead of what's next, not what's behind us. Because honestly, what's behind us doesn't really matter anymore.
Fair enough. And one of the things that I noticed, Teron, when I was looking at your bio here, other than the fact that you were, all district, and two-time state champion in West Orange Stark High School, you're a life science major. So you're you're a budding scientist. You're not just a football player. You're like a science. You're a smart guy. I looked up the Google definition. It's like a broad field of natural science dedicated to the study of living organisms and all this kind of stuff. But what does all that mean, and what does that mean for you maybe after football?
Honestly, man, I actually changed my major. I'm an exercise sports science education major still, but in the same breath,
okay.
After football, I want to get into coaching. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a gift, and I thank God for it every day to be able to, lead young men, because I'm one of the older guys on the team. So when the younger guys come to me and ask me questions and stuff, that gives me the ability to give them knowledge on stuff that they'll see. Because, I've been their age before, but they haven't been mine. And I used to hear that all the time as a kid. And it kind of resonates now being in the position I'm in. So for after football, of course I want to chase my dreams still, but I feel like solidified, I think coaching is my next calling.
Teron, I'm not surprised to hear that one bit, because the way you come across, you just ooze the knowledge and the motivation that I think is important out there. And, Sarah helped us pick the right guy, I think, for this interview for sure. Definite team leader and a very, very good representative for Crew Football for sure. We want to give you the opportunity in the meantime, though, for any shout-outs to family, friends, teammates, etc. Teron Brown, this is your chance for shout-outs.
Just shout out to all my family back home, man. Everybody back home who supports me. All the people who who aren't from back home who support me, man. Thank you. It ain't been an easy ride, but it's definitely not over. And I promise you guys that we'll be where we're supposed to be at the end of the season.
It's never an easy ride, trust me. And the people that I look to and look up to are the ones that persevere through it. And we were talking about with Jack Curtis, the quarterback at Carleton, that's going to be playing through cancer this season. I mean, if that doesn't stop you in your tracks to understand perseverance and what it all means and how important it is, nothing will. But as you said, you and your story, you've persevered through a transfer and everything else and become a great team leader. And it'll be an interesting game, to say the least, against Whitewater. We're going to be picking it in this next segment coming up, who's going to win this game. So we'll see where we go with this one. But no matter who we pick, understand, is no disrespect to you guys, the crew, the legacy you have helped to mold here, and what's in your future. So we respect you guys immensely. So thank you for joining us. Thanks to everybody over at Belton, Texas, for what they do to contribute to this show, for sure.
Yes, sir. Frank, I'm going to let you know, man, if it ain't the crew, I'm going to be DMing you, man.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Y'all have
I'm
a
being
good morning,
intimidated
man.
before my pick.
Come on, man.
Well, we're going to find out the hard way here, I guess, how this is going to go. But
It's a good thing you're going to Susquehanna this weekend, Frank.
It's going to be really interesting over the next 20 minutes or so. Throughout in all seriousness. So thank you for coming out. We do appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Yep.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Teron. What a great guy. That was fun.
Absolutely. Oh, boy.
A 260-pound, 32. I love it.
Before we get to picks, I wanted to go through some standings in conferences as we begin to get out of conference play a little bit for some of these conferences. Quickly here, the ASC, you can see here, has had a pretty good run of it, 7-0 combined.
7-0.
UMHB with only one game under their belt so far. That's why it's not 8. Centennial was an interesting one to look at here with this big game coming up. 6-0 at the top, 3-3 in the middle, 0-4 in the bottom. Kind of what you expect. The Carnegie Mellon game, though, obviously against La Crosse, somebody had to win or lose, I guess. But go ahead.
Remember the preseason, Frank? Muhlenberg was picked 5th. And look at him.
No doubt. No doubt there. Absolutely. You're right. And the
Interesting.
Wilkes game is going to be interesting for sure for them. We compare it to the Landmark, obviously. And, aside from Susquehanna, maybe not what we expected to be at the top of this in the way it's playing with Juniata up there. And, Lycoming at 0-2, Moravian at 0-2, not representative of who those teams are. We're going to see them make some noise soon, I think. You had pointed out you wanted to talk about the Empire 8 a little bit. And, Brockport, Utica, Fisher, and Hartwick all 2-0. Hartwick being a little bit of a surprise there. I'm not surprised about Fisher with Ed Raby there as head coach now. It was a gritty St. Lawrence win. They've got a test, though, against Rochester coming up this weekend. Good game for sure coming up. Alfred State, Cortland at 1-1, and Mooresville at 0-2. We'll see that Hartwick-Cortland game, as we said. I'll let you look at the MIAC a little bit because this is an interesting conference with only one game apiece at this point having been played. But what are you seeing there?
Well, kind of what you'd expect with Bethel and St. John's starting off with pretty big wins. I mean, it's going to come down to those two teams potentially. But, now that we've met Jack, I mean, how can you not sort of root for Carleton a little bit? They have a chance to get their first win and get into the conference standings. But, McAllister, though, they won their first game, and so they're 1-0 coming into it. And then, you got the Olies of St. Olaf, who will play Carleton for that trophy game, I think the weekend of the September 27th. So that's a big one. Still a lot to go. I mean, look how big this conference is. There's like 10 or something teams here. That's just one of the differences that we see kind of across D3 football. There's a couple conferences where there's only just enough to qualify for the AQ, and then you've got these others where it's like you've got divisions and they've got a championship game and all that kind of thing. It's just a different story.
One thing Jack Curtis had written back to me, I just want to make sure everything was good on his end earlier this week. And he thanked us. The response has been overwhelmingly positive, and the team loves our show. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. And thanks again for sharing his story. And he hopes to put up some highlight-worthy plays. So he wants to be part of Crunch Time, too, and not just as an interview, but as the highlight feature. So we'll be looking for him out there at Carleton for sure. The WIAC. It's interesting how the WIAC plays out here with only 2 losses against, what is that? If I do the quick math
Number 1 and number 8 or 9. I mean, yeah. They played a pretty...
I think 13 again and 2 is what that amounts to right now. So, people are going to fault us for saying what we say about, overrated stuff based on playoff stuff. But again, we aren't in the playoffs currently, and so we've got to see how this carries out or through to the rest of the season. Because when they get to WIAC play, it's going to obviously be a real battle, internally for that crown. So we'll see how it plays out, but right now they look really good. We'll get a little bit more information this week for sure, like in that Whitewater, Mira Hardin Baylor game that we'll be picking soon. Baldwin Wallace, they've been excited about their ranking in our top 40, going up to 35, I believe it was this week. In Marietta and Mount Union and Capital are the undefeated teams. Things are a little out of sync there because we base it on conference play ultimately. So the second column is what determines the order here. Mount Union has not played a conference game yet, but they will against Baldwin Wallace next week. So look out for that one. We'll obviously be flagging that game next week a little bit. SAA, looking at this, not horrible. Nobody has 2 losses in the SAA. That's an interesting thing here. Barry, Maryville, Southwestern, and Trinity are 2-0 each.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is good, and that stuck out to me. But then on the flip side of things, look at the pack. Oh, my goodness. We did award the tie, ultimately, to Case and to Rowan, although we have not gotten official confirmation from the NCAA on this. But we've heard that's the way it's going.
17 losses?
4 wins. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 losses and 1 tie and 4 wins.
Ouch.
4, 17, and 1. That is not how you want to get back into out-of-conference play. But again, part of this is because they didn't have out-of-conference play for 2 years, I think, and that really does change things. The other tie being shown here for Rowan in the NJAC. This conference is having a good go of it. That is 11-3-1 this season. So the NJAC having a good start so far. Finally, the NewMac. I think this is the last one I pulled today. The NewMac having a good go of it too, I'd say overall here at a 10-6 start, but with 4 teams at 2-0. Salve being one of them with that cardiac win in overtime, but SUNY Maritime at 2-0. Trotta having a go of it down there, a 48-0 win versus Anderson, if that is accurate there. But Endicott being their next game, obviously that is a challenge, and Endicott coming off of the Muhlenberg loss will be interesting to see how they handle that situation for sure. Anything you want to point out on this slide as I just get us ready on the other end of this?
I think how like the middle of the conference, like the Coast Guard and SUNY Maritime seem to be improved. I think that might help overall. Be curious to see how it plays out over the course of the season. But hey, shout out to Coach Bubna, the Engineers, 2-0. That's pretty solid.
We got to restart this.
I recognize that music.
The music, please. Yes, there it is. Okay. Listen, we got a lot of games to call here. We only have 12 minutes on our clock. I haven't even put the clock on the screen yet. So we'll see how this plays out. Tell everybody how we're doing here as I fix one thing.
We're batting about 80% so far for the season. We are both 32-8. We missed a few maybe easy ones last weekend, but we tend to sort of stay aligned for the most part, at least 2 weeks into the season. We'll see if that continues, but here we go.
Yep, let's get the clock up and let us start going. I'm going to have you start first here with the NESCAC, Wesleyan versus Tufts. Their clock starts now.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough battle in Somerville under the lights. I mean, the Jumbos are a strong defensive team, but I don't know. I like the Cards in this one. I think it's going to be like a 17-13 game. Cards by 3 or 4 points.
I'm taking Wesleyan also here by a little bit more. I think they're going to win by 10 actually. So I'm going 30-20 in this game. Wesleyan winning it. Plymouth State at Bridgewater State. I'm going to give this one to the home team, Bridgewater State. Sorry for the abbreviation need here, but I mean, when you have all this MASCAC stuff and whatnot up there, it forces it. So, sorry, Bridgewater State. But I will give you the win in this game as a, give back on this. 27-17 in favor of them. What do you think?
You know, I think the way that they fought and came back and almost beat Curry sort of stands out to me. And Plymouth State needed a Hail Mary basically to beat Worcester State, so I'll go with the Bears. I think they'll win 34-20.
After you floor them at Kings, you start.
I'll say the Kings Monarch pulls it off 17-16.
I'm a little surprised at Kings this season, so I'm going to go Van Kuren-wise to the FDU Florham side of this one. The away team wins this game 21-20. Let's go UMass Dartmouth at Framingham State, one of my games of the week. And, you know, tough game to pick with everything that's gone on with these two teams so far this season. I'm going to give the edge to Mass Dartmouth. Two good coaching staffs, but I think Mass Dartmouth's coaching staff is more ready based on the last couple of years on how to play this out. So I'm going to give that slight edge to Mass Dartmouth here, 27-24.
Both of these teams looked pretty bad in week 1, and then they barely won in week 2.
Yeah, blocked field goal, ring a bell?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Rams here just because it's at home, and the Corsairs struggling against Fitchburg is just a head scratcher. So I'll take the home team 31-28.
We'll get back to Hopkins, Susquehanna at the end of this. So we're skipping over to Barry, Carnegie Mellon. And this is your start.
Yeah, this will be interesting because Barry's looked really strong. Have they played the level of talent as a Carnegie Mellon? I'm not sure, but if this turns into sort of a shootout, I think the edge goes to the Vikings. I'm going to give them a slight edge in this one because of that. 31-21.
I don't know if Joey McGinnis is going to start as quarterback in this game or not. Obviously, late in that game, they did switch up, it looked like, from their highlights. So we'll see what they choose to do. I'm going to give Barry, because they've been playing more steady ball here in my mind, the win here, 31-24 in a decent game for sure. Utica to Hobart. Look, transfer central for Utica right now, I think, is helping them, especially at that QB position. So I'm going to give Utica the edge here. I think Hobart's loss last week was not a horrible loss, though, in terms of the differential between them and Brockport. But Utica, I think, here has a little bit more potency to get this game, especially the way they beat RPI. Give it to them 37-20.
Yeah, I think Hobart's defense can maybe keep them in this game, but this kid Sozowski or whatever his name is for Utica has thrown for almost 1,000 yards in the first 2 games and has 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I just don't think Hobart has the strength at quarterback to do it unless they can really control the line of scrimmage. But their O-line is banged up. I want to pick my Statesman, and I don't want them to start 0-3, but it just feels like Utica is going to win this one like 31-17.
Again, we're going to skip Whitewater, UMHB for the end. Shenandoah and Hampton-Sydney, you start.
Tigers have been a story. You called it in the preseason, and they've been winning games. I mean, Shenandoah barely got by Geneva, which is usually kind of a middle-of-the-pack team. Get it? I'll take the Tigers 38-20 in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Hampton-Sydney 41-24 in this one. Louisiana College at Hardin-Simmons. I'm going to give the nod to Hardin-Simmons here. I think that this is a good game for them to tune up in, even though it's an out-of-division game for them. So I'm going to give them the edge 31-21. 31-21.
Yeah, I don't know much about Louisiana College since they left D3, but the Cowboys have found ways to win games that they could have potentially lost, and that's important. So I'll think maybe that'll motivate them a little bit, and the Cowboys will ride off into the sunset 27-20.
Mount St. Joe's, Hope.
Flying Dutchman 41-14. They're that good.
40-20 was my number on it. 40-20. Hope winning the game. Calvin at Heidelberg. You know something? This Calvin team's got something going on. Being a new team-ish in all, I'm going to actually say that they're going to play this game like it's, the biggest game ever in their, football history, because it might be at this point for this incarnation of their team. So I'm going to give them the edge under the lights, 24-21 against Heidelberg.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, Heidelberg is 1-1. I mean, they smoked Hiram in week 1. Not surprised there, but they lost pretty one-sidedly to Ohio Northern. So, yeah, what the heck? I'll go with Calvin, 34-28.
You've got Rose-Hulman, Albion.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Albion in this one. I just feel like the MIAA has got a little more on the Heartlands at the moment, so I'll take them 31-17.
I'm going to disagree with you here because of the way that Bluffton game played out for Albion, and that they just don't look that primed yet this season. So I give the edge to Rose-Hulman in those situations. Rose-Hulman 28-20 over Albion in this one. Monmouth at Lake Forest. I'm going to go with the Foresters. I think they really learned a lot from the last couple of weeks. Those dual defensive two-point conversions and everything else that played out, it's a heartbreaker. But if they're going to win this conference, they're going to obviously need a miracle on the side of Illinois College, losing twice or creating some kind of tiebreaker with one loss. But this is a must-win. Otherwise, there's nothing else left here. I think Cat knows how to handle this. Lake Forest wins 28-17.
Okay, well, we've already differed on 3 picks, so I'm going to use an old hip-hop quote that Coach Cat will know, like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm going to go with Monmouth just to potentially pick up one if I miss on some of my early picks here. So I'll say the Scots. They're also the Scots, right? And also, yeah, they have a female place kicker. We'll have to talk about that a little more in the future. But I'll go with the Scots in this one, 31-30.
Wheaton at Augustana is yours.
Don't know much about Augustana's chances in this one, so I'm just going to stick with the Thunder because they looked good in the second half against Mount Union 2 weeks ago. Thunder roll 42-21.
As long as they don't get caught looking ahead to the little brass bell game, I will say Wheaton in this game by a 31-20 score. Concordia, Wisconsin at Wisconsin Lutheran.
The Luther Bowl. Oh, I guess I'll.
Oh, this is me first. I'm struggling with it, but I'm gonna take Wisconsin Lutheran, 23-20, in a good one.
Yeah, they've lost a couple games, but in Concordia, they thumped. Well, they didn't thump. They barely beat Teal. 19 points. I'll take the home team, WLU,
Wisconsin
for
Lutheran.
the win.
What do you have your score, out of curiosity?
28-21.
You've got Springfield Platteville.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with the WIAC for now. This isn't the same Springfield team as last season, so I think the Pioneers will win this one pretty convincingly, say 49-14.
30-13 is where I'll go with it. I think the defense will play a little bit better than that for Springfield, but we'll see how it goes. McAllister Carlton. That's me.
Got to go for the Knights.
I'm going to go for the Knights. I would have said it either way.
Yeah.
Jack Curtis throws for 3 touchdowns, and then sends us some highlight reel that we can put up on Crunch Time this week. 34 actually to 20.
Okay, I'll take the Knights 33-21.
Trinity Pack Loot, you start.
I mean, Trinity just smoked Belhaven last weekend, and they were a team I thought might be, a team to beat in the USA South. So I'll take the Tigers on the road, 34-17.
Yeah, 34-20 is actually what I was going to say. So same general idea, although I think Pack Loop might be able to keep this close. Chapman at Linfield. You know something? I'm so tempted to pick Chapman right now because Linfield's game against UWO is not really great in any facet, honestly, when you watch it back. I'm going to go with the home team only because of the home team. If this was played at Chapman, I would have flipped this. I'll go 24-21 Linfield.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a 31-27 or 4 type of game. I'll take the home team, though. Chapman could pull this off, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Finally, for on-the-clock games here, Lewis and Clark, Pomona, Pitzer, you start.
I'm just going to go with the home team because they were kind of predicted to win the SCIAC, and so we'll see. I think Lewis and Clark's on their way up, but maybe not there yet. So, what are they, the Sage Hens?
Yep.
Is that what they're called? They'll win 35-27.
It's another case of where the home team is going to get the pick here, and it would have flipped on the other way. So I'm going to give Pomona Pitzer the 24-17 win. We're going to kind of reel out of the music and the clock at this point.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the 2 games we have not yet discussed. So if you give me a moment here, we know what one of them is, and that is going to be.
I think we know both.
Whitewater, UMHB. So, what are you thinking, buddy?
I am thinking I'm going to lean, and I've seen some chatter in the WIAC Midwest D3 universe about how kind of one-dimensional the Warhawks offense is, and I think that they're going to need to be able to stretch the field and pass to beat a strong defense like UMHB. I don't think it's going to be a runaway like we saw last year. It's going to be a closer game, but I'll take the Crew to hold serve at home 28-17.
I'm picking Whitewater, and I apologies to UMHB, but maybe I just gave them some bulletin board material here for sure. Look, I said it in the last show, or last live show we did, I think it was. The Bethel game didn't prove much to me about who they are, because I think that Bethel took a step backward this year, and so winning in that game didn't necessarily mean much to me. In fact, some of their start in that game really was concerning because they needed to come back in that game to win it. I just think that Whitewater knows how embarrassing that game was for them last year, and that they've had this one circled since last year to sort of turn this thing around. And look, the road team won it last year. Why can't the road team win it this year? Tough to win at the Cathedral, no doubt. But I'm going to give Whitewater the 23-20 edge in this game. We'll see what happens. And like I said, maybe it's bulletin board material for the Crew at the end of the day to say that. Next up, and finally, Hopkins at Susquehanna. I'll start this one. I just think that Hopkins has too much going for it right now, and I think the Rashawn Lamont situation for Susquehanna, even if he does play, how ready is he to play? Because now we're 3 games into the season for these teams, and so this would be his first game to really get his groove on, to get his timing set, and that's not easy to do in in-game situations. It's bad enough when you have to do it in week 1. To have to do it in week 3 is a whole nother story. So I give Hopkins the edge on the road here by a final score of 28-24. That good old 28-24 score.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I picked Hopkins for this game after I saw how Susquehanna struggled against Union in week 1. And then they struggled in the first half last week until, I mean, they turned it on and put, their opponent away, who did they play again? Bridgewater from the ODAC. So I think having seen Hopkins roll over Ithaca, who could win the Liberty League and be a playoff team, I'm going to go with Hopkins 31-24.
So a funny thing has happened here with respect to our software setup. Normally when a guest leaves, the screen goes blank, but for some reason, our last guest didn't, and so I'm just being glared at by a still photo or still image of Teron Brown right now after making that pick.
Yeah, he's like, come on, man. Frank, you're killing me.
Yeah.
Lucky you're not going to be in
guys.
Belton on Saturday.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's a great game. It's going to be, nobody's running away with that game, I don't think. This is not last year, as you said, and it'll be close enough that either team could legitimately win the game. And so it's just a question of who you pick in that situation. We'll see. Jace Rindle needs this win, I think he feels, just to sort of get that traction before they hit the WEX schedule this season. JB, how do you watch these games this weekend? I mean, we start at noontime with this game that we just talked about, the Whitewater game. 1 o'clock is the game between Johns Hopkins and Susquehanna, so you're going to have to dual screen them for 2 of the quarters at least.
Well, actually, you get a bonus hour of football on Saturday, Frank, because the Whitewater and Mary Hardin Baylor game starts at 11 a.m. or 12. Is that a noon? No, it's
12.
11. It's a noon
12.
Eastern. Okay,
Yep.
11 Central. So the Central time zone gets a little bit of an earlier kickoff than usual. But yeah, there are some great noon games, including that one. River Falls, Bellhaven's at 12:30 kickoff. You've got Barry, Carnegie Mellon also at noon. RPI Brockport, kind of interesting. Albion, Rose-Hulman was one of the games we talked about. Plymouth State, Bridgewater State. There's a ton of 12 games, noon games in Region 1. And then when we start getting to like Region 2 and 3, we start seeing the 1 o'clock games like Utica Hobart. You've got Trinity Bates in Region 1, Gettysburg, Western Connecticut, Catholic F&M, St. John Fisher, Rochester, which is another game that we highlighted. And then you got a slew of 2 o'clock games starting with Randolph-Macon, Bridgewater. You got some games in Regions 4, 5, and 6 that are all starting at 2 o'clock, including the big Hardin-Simmons Louisiana Christian game, Wayne State, Lacrosse, Wartburg's playing Simpson at 2, Bethel's taking on the Gusties. So, kind of a wide variety there. And then it sort of quiets down. There's 3 games at 3. There's a bunch at, maybe half a dozen at 4 kind of stand out there. I would say is the Chapman-Linfield game at 4 o'clock Eastern. Got a couple of 6 o'clock kickoffs, and then there's a bunch of 7 o'clock games, Frank. Westminster Case, Wesleyan Tufts, Heidelberg Calvin. You got the Luther Bowl with Concordia and Wisloo. 8 o'clock, we've got Texas Lutheran and Southwestern. And the last but not least game of the night is at 9 between Stevens Point and Pacific out on the West Coast. So, long day. Probably another 110 or so games, give or take, maybe 100 plus. It's a lot of football in D3.
Well, I'm facing 8 hours of driving tomorrow, 4.5 hours to get down to Susquehanna. Probably waking up at 4 in the morning to get there, but maybe stopping to have a little dinner beforehand after that game is over at good old BJ's over there. So we'll see, how many Susquehanna fans go over to there after that game. And then going back to New York City actually tomorrow night. So it will be a long day for me, but an exciting game to cover for sure. And we'll see how this goes. JB and I will be updating you during that game. No Game Day Live tomorrow because of the later start at 1 o'clock. And also I do want to visit the tailgates and send a little bit of images from those as well. tomorrow. So we'll.
I do want to shout out one thing, Frank. We just got tagged by Flow College. The Hopkins Susquehanna game will be streaming live on Flow College football YouTube. Which is that also the paywall, or I think the YouTube is free, right?
That is a free broadcast if that's the case. So good for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it
that's
may have
good.
some advertisements embedded into it and everything else, but that would be a definite plus, and we appreciate that. I think they know that the importance of that game to everybody is number 3 versus number 4 is a national interest game for sure. So thanks to Flow College, who hosts our Crunch Time show each week. So thank you to them for that. On the correct side of the paywall, for some people, the free side of it, we do take our hat off to that. Folks, we will see you tomorrow via Twitter and different other ways as well. So get ready. Big weekend. 2 big games. So far, we've been disappointed by big games in general. I feel like we're not going to be disappointed tomorrow. I feel like we're going to have 2 really good ones coming up. So we'll see how it goes. JB, thanks as always. Folks, we'll see you soon.